My wife told me I was paranoid, but the truth I found on her phone ended our entire marriage in one night.
I first noticed it when I saw my wife typing on her phone, a smile lighting up her face, a smile she never seemed to have for me anymore. I casually asked who she was texting. "Just a coworker," she replied, her voice a little too quick, a little too light. The answer felt thin, but I let it go. I didn't want to be that guy. Later that night, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She grabbed it faster than a striking snake. A little alarm bell went off in my head. "Everything okay?" I asked, trying to sound nonchalant. She rolled her eyes and sighed. "You're getting so paranoid," she said, turning her back to me. The dismissal stung, but I dropped it. Still, a nagging feeling settled in my gut and refused to leave. The next morning, something pulled me toward our shared tablet. It was just sitting there on the kitchen counter. I picked it up, and my heart started to pound when I saw her messages were still synced. She must have forgotten to log out. My hands were trembling as I opened the chat app. And then my stomach dropped. The messages were from a man named Evan. He called her beautiful. She told him she missed him. He asked when she could sneak out to see him again. Her reply made my vision blur. She said last night had felt perfect. My chest tightened as if a heavy weight had just been dropped on it. I couldn't stop reading, even though every word was a fresh stab of pain. They joked about me, about how clueless I was. They laughed about my habits, my job, my very existence. I felt like a ghost in my own life. They were already making plans for the weekend right under my nose. One message from her stopped my breath. "I wish I had met you before him," she wrote. Another one said, "I feel alive with you." I closed the tablet and just sat there, in the silence of our kitchen. I didn't cry, I didn't scream or break anything, I just felt empty, a vast, hollow nothingness where my heart used to be. When she came home that evening, I acted completely normal. A cold, detached part of me wanted to see how far she would push the lie. She hugged me at the door, her arms around my neck like nothing was wrong. I asked her how work was. "Exhausting," she sighed, leaning into me. The lie felt like poison on my tongue. The next day, my emptiness sharpened into a plan. I went back to the tablet and screenshotted everything. Every message, every pet name, every plan they made. I saved them all to a secure folder and then backed them up onto a USB drive. I had my proof. Now I just had to wait for the right moment. A few days later, she told me she'd be home late. "A mandatory staff meeting," she said. I just smiled and nodded. "No problem, honey." Drive safe. She left wearing that expensive perfume, the one she saved for special occasions. As soon as her car turned the corner, I was in my own, following at a distance. She didn't go to her office. She drove straight to a hotel on the edge of town. I parked across the street, far enough away to be unseen. I watched as she walked toward the entrance. Evan was already there, waiting just inside the glass doors. He pulled her into a kiss before they had even fully stepped out of view. My hands started shaking on the steering wheel, a tremor of rage and heartbreak. I sat there for 10 minutes, just breathing, before I turned the car around and drove home. I wasn't going to have a screaming match in a hotel lobby. I deserved better than that. My dignity demanded a better ending. That night, I methodically packed her belongings. I folded her clothes and put them into boxes. I gathered her things from the bathroom, the bedroom, the office. I stacked the boxes neatly in the middle of the living room. On top of the highest box, I placed the printed screenshots of her messages. Then I sat on the couch and waited. She walked in just after midnight, humming a little tune. Then she saw the boxes. She froze, her hand still on the doorknob. Her eyes went from the boxes to the papers sitting on top. The color drained from her face. She whispered my name, a question in her voice, but I just raised my hand to stop her. "I know," I said, my voice steady. "I know everything." The dam broke. The tears started instantly. "It meant nothing," she sobbed. "I was confused. I made a mistake." I just shook my head. "A mistake is something you do once," I told her. "Mistakes don't happen over and over again for weeks. Lies don't just slip out by accident. Betrayal is a choice, not a mistake." She begged for a chance to explain, to make me understand. Explanations only matter before the damage is done, I said, my voice cold. She tried to reach for me, but I took a step back, away from her touch. I still love you, she cried, her voice cracking. No, I said quietly. You love the version of me who didn't know the truth. She looked around the room, lost. Where am I supposed to go? Anywhere you want. Her last question was barely a whisper. Is this really the end? I met her eyes. It ended the moment you chose him. She picked up a box and walked out the door without another word, without looking back. The silence she left behind was deafening, painful. I sat on that couch for a long, long time. I expected to feel shattered, broken into a million pieces. But I didn't. I felt relieved. The next morning I filed for divorce. I also took a small bit of satisfaction in sending the screenshots to Evan. His reply came within minutes. Just one word. Done. Apparently, my wife hadn't bothered to tell him she was married. 2 days later, she sent me a long message, full of regret and apologies. I didn't answer. I just blocked her number. My peace was worth more than her remorse. Sometimes I pull out those saved messages and reread them. Not to feel the pain again, but to remind myself of the clarity I found. To remind myself why I had to walk away. Her betrayal broke something in me, yes, but it also set me free. In the end, I didn't win her back, but I won myself back. And that, I've realized, is a much better victory. Thanks for listening.